weird. Gave me like an error for a moment.
Oh God. Oh fuck.
We're good though.
Okay,
Hey, we're
cool.
live.
Oh God, my ears are exploding.
Or we're supposed to be.
Hello.
I think we are live because I've got a watch now button.
Welcome back to Lost Ledgers.
Hey,
We
everybody.
are joined here today by me, Shawn, and then Adam
I'm not going to vogue like Shawn did, but I'm also here.
and Zach.
Hi.
How you guys doing this week? How are things? I know Adam just just
I'm so
ranted a
busy.
bit
I'm so busy,
about
man.
school.
Yeah, two exams this week, and if you were listening last week, I started a new job recently, so just really busy.
Hey, but that's
I'm
good
excited.
though. New job.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about it. It's been a lot of fun. Just I don't even want to say it's exhausting. It's just I have to think about work, which I haven't really done in the last 4 years. Like I was sort of I've sort of been on autopilot in this job. Like,
That's not first.
all right, so this week we brought low-level boss monsters.
Woo.
We did.
All of these should be handleable by a 4-person party of level 4 or lower characters. So we capped out at CR7, which should be, a little bit more than half of the XP budget for a level 4 party, right?
Yeah.
Why are you
roughly
upside
half.
down, Shawn? Stop that.
Because I'm trying to flip my webcam so that it's the right way for the audience. Because Discord doesn't flip your own webcam; only flips everybody else's.
Oh, right.
So, all right, it's fixed though. We're good.
Woo.
Oh shit! Here's Justin to complain about mobile.
Wow.
So yeah, Little Boss Monsters. Adam introduced us quite easily there, which is fitting because Adam looks like you're up first. Why don't you go ahead and jump into it for us?
All right, so we've got Kerola, Azer Exile, medium elemental, lawful evil. Normally I would use the new typical technology, but since this is a singular person, I'm all right with saying that they're lawful evil. Armor class of 18 due to natural armor and their masterwork body ability. 98 hit points, 30-foot speed, +4 strength, +1 dex, +3 con, +1 and +2 wisdom, +1 charisma. Proficiency with saving with strength and con saves. The regular Azer immunities, so fire and poison damage and the poison condition. +2 passive perception, speaks Ignan and common. CR7 and +3 proficiency bonus. Heated body, same as the regular Azer, D10 fire damage if you hit her. Heated weapons, same as the regular Azer. She deals an extra D6 fire damage on her melee weapon attacks. Illumination, same as the regular Azer. 10 feet of bright light, 10 feet of dim light. Masterwork body, this is new. The AC of Kerola includes her constitution modifier while she isn't wearing armor.
Nice.
So, yeah, it only buffs her AC up by 1 because I didn't give her the shield that Azer normally have. But I thought it was neat. Actions. Multi-attack. Kerola makes 2 Warhammer attacks, which is, it's a regular Warhammer, except it deals D6 fire damage because she's an Azer. Or, instead of multi-attack, she could use Molten Charge, where she moves up to half her speed, then makes a single Warhammer attack, and that movement does not provoke attacks of opportunity. For her bonus actions, she has Slag Step. While standing in an open flame of medium size or greater, Kerola can instantly teleport to another such flame that she can see within 20 feet of her.
Nice.
And Eruption. All creatures within 30 feet of Kerola must make Constitution saving throws, DC 14, or take 3d4 fire damage and be blinded until the start of their next turn, taking half as much damage on a success. And then for reactions, she has Thermal Shock. Whenever Kerola takes cold damage, she can use Eruption as a reaction. And Burning Hate. When a creature Kerola can see takes fire damage on their turn, she can use Molten Charge as a reaction.
Ooh.
And then she's got some lair actions. On initiative count 20, losing initiative ties, Kerola can take one of the following lair actions. She can't take the same lair action 2 turns in a row. Engulf. Kerola chooses an unoccupied space within 30 feet of her that she can see, which becomes engulfed in flames. Any creature starting their turn on an engulfed space or entering it for the first time on a turn takes 1d6 fire damage. A creature can use an action on their turn to extinguish a space they can reach that has been engulfed. Spreading flames. Kerola chooses, that should say a space within 30 feet of her that she can see that is engulfed in flames. up to 2 adjacent unoccupied spaces of her choice become engulfed in flames. And Heat Wave. Any creature within 5 feet of a space that is engulfed in flames takes 1d6 fire damage.
Ooh, that's a lot. I think this
So-
is very, very.
Yeah.
Oh wait, actually, what are your thoughts on this before we start talking about it?
I was just going to recap what the lair actions let her do. It's deal some extra damage and also teleport around the battlefield because she's creating these medium-sized flames. So I wanted to point that out because it's not explicitly spelled out in the stat block that that's what her lair actions let her do, but that's supposed to synergize between Slag Step and Engulf.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You know, I like this a lot. I think there's a lot of mobility here. I think there's a lot of opportunities for the DM to make interesting choices. And for the players to make interesting choices, because if she starts taking those reactions, they're like, oh, fuck, we gotta mix this up. Because if we keep on using cold damage or, I guess the players aren't going to be triggering the fire thing as much as she will.
No, but they can
Well,
still
but
play around with it by getting rid of the flames.
Well, and
Yeah.
it only triggers if she sees someone take fire damage on their turn. So, like, if somebody hits her and takes fire damage from heated body, she can use Molten Charge to get away and attack somebody else.
Oh, that's very. I didn't even realize that's very specific.
Yeah,
Why did you choose that instead of just doing whenever she sees someone take fire damage?
because she deals fire damage with all her attacks, and I didn't want her to be using her reaction on her turn to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she can only do it once, but this is a very mobile fight.
That's the thing,
which
she's
is super
super
interesting.
She's super mobile, and so I didn't want to give her even more mobility on her turn. She's already zipping around a lot on her turn, and I wanted Burning Hate to be something she does on the players' turns. So if they get hit by an engulf, or if they take damage from her heated body, they're going to take some fire damage on their own turn, and she can either get up next to them and make an attack, or if they attacked her, get away from them and attack somebody else.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think this would be cool to pair up with like a another fire elemental. Obviously, other Azer would work, but also like obviously a dragon.
My very first idea was just giving her the ability from the Hammer of the Azer that I made a few months back to just create Azer on the fly.
Oh god.
But I thought that would be a little bit I don't know. It just felt weird to take the ability from a thing that I already had. Like, if I were running this in a campaign, I might have the Hammer of the Azer be something that you win from her, but, like, I don't want her using it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's protecting the hammer as a treasured artifact or something.
Right, maybe she, like,
Yeah.
stole the hammer and that's why she was exiled or something. I don't know.
I like the synergy of a lot of the stuff that you have in here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. So, one thing that I thought was weird, that I expected Shawn to call me on, but he didn't, is that Eruption blinds the targets until the start of their turn.
No, I like that. I like because it gives her all the offensive benefits of being blinded, but none of the defensive benefits of being blinded. Besides, obviously, not provoking, but she already has a way of not provoking. So
she does have a way of not provoking, but this gives her a different way of not provoking. So
yeah.
I didn't even see that, but I like that a lot as well, because specifically with the low level monsters that we were working on creating, I was trying to do with mine like things that weren't too overwhelming. So like, you didn't want them to be blinded forever or something like that, but like giving her the option to blind them, get the advantage, and then it's over for them, so then they can do something.
Exactly, yeah.
So that was one of the challenges that I ran into in general with coming up with the small, like lower level stuff, was just like trying to make it interesting without overwhelming.
Yeah, that's the thing, because most of the cool things that you can do in 5e are going to be overwhelming to a low-level party, because they don't have the tools to deal with them, and they don't really have the toolkit to do interesting things in spite of certain handicaps. So, like...
Yeah,
I will
especially...
say... We
Go,
all
you
said
gonna say?
something there at the same time.
Shawn, you go first.
I will say her armor class is massive for low
It's
level.
it's very high for these levels, but not
She has
unprecedented.
low
You have-
HP
Not
though.
unprecedented, that's true.
There are 18 AC creatures as low as CR1. So
Yeah.
it's not unprecedented. It is high though, and
She does have
Actually,
very low HP for a
her-
CR7 though.
her HP should maybe be even lower because she has a
Maybe.
high AC and she has 2 damage.
Movement, provoking,
Well, and-
removal, blinded, like
Well, and the
stopping
damage
provoking.
immunities. Like, according to the
Yeah.
calculator, you're supposed to double her effective HP for having any damage immunities at all. I mean, players aren't dealing a ton of poison damage, but fire is a pretty common damage type. So, I don't know. I did the math with about 1.5 instead of 2, because I think that 2 can be a little excessive sometimes. But like you said, her AC is very high. So her HP could maybe afford to come down a little bit, maybe down to like 11 D8 or something.
Yeah.
That'd be 11 D8 plus 33. That'd take off like 15 HP, get her down to 83.
I was gonna ask, I know you like to crunch the numbers a lot of the time.
Yes.
With the monsters that you put in to get their CR. Did you crunch the numbers with this one?
I crunched the numbers on this one, and it is right where it should be defensively, except for the fact that I account for immunities different than the calculator says you should.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit over offensively. So this is on the cusp. If you trusted the calculator on the damage immunities thing, it says this is CR8.
Okay.
I don't think it actually is. I don't think
especially with poison, like
well, and especially with these being the 2 most resisted damage types. I think that a different immunity, even if it's immunity to say like non-magical BPS, that does a ton more work than poison immunity. So if you trust the calculator, this is CR8. I don't trust the calculator, and so I think it's CR7. But if you pull the HP down, then the calculator agrees with me.
yeah.
I think that the calculator says that she should have like 60 or 70 HP, which just felt way too low to me.
Yeah. Even at low levels, that's pretty low.
Right, that's it. But she does have a high AC, so I don't know.
Yeah, with the high AC, because point buy at level 4, they're gonna have a +6 to hit.
Yeah, if they've got a +4 in their attacking stat, yeah, which most players will have by level 4.
Which means that they'll be hitting 12 to 35% of the time? No, that's not right. 40? I can't.
12 or higher is 45. Yeah, so that's 10% less than like on level recommendation, but right? Or is it 15%?
It's 20. 65% is on level.
Oh fuck, it's supposed to be 65. I thought it was supposed to be like 60.
No, it's an 8 on the die should hit.
Damn. Okay.
So she effectively then has like a 50% buff to like how much damage she doesn't take or whatever.
Okay, then yeah, maybe her HP actually should be down near 70. It just felt like she would go down way too fast with those HP totals.
She would probably. What is the Azer's normal AC?
It's normally 17. It's normally 17 because they've got natural armor and a shield. But the thing is, it's 15 if they're using their Warhammer two-handed, which she's always going to be using it two-handed because she doesn't have the shield. So maybe I should knock her HP. Maybe I should knock her AC down. Like if I take, actually, you know what would do double duty on that? If I knock her con down to a +2, that takes off 13 HP and 1 AC. So
yeah.
That could do it, especially with the other stuff that she has in her kit.
So maybe take her down to like 12 hit dice and a +2 con.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
I definitely really like the thermal shock ability because like it's probably the type of ability where you're only going to do this once before you realize that this is happening. But like you see this fire creature and you're like, maybe if I use cold against it, and then immediately you get like reacted on and you're like, we're not fucking doing that again. But like
that's the thing, it'll happen once at most. But when you pull it off, it'll feel so good. That's the thing. She's much more likely to use the burning hate reaction, but thermal shock will be so cool when it happens.
No, I agree.
Well, and maybe you'll pull it off twice. Maybe some poor soul will cast Chaos Bolt on her or something. Like,
oh yeah, they're pretty funny.
Yeah, all around though, I do like this. I really like the synergy of this. I think that definitely the con change might be a really good one to do. But outside of that, I like everything on this, and the numbers. I don't know. I haven't full looked at them or anything like that, but I trust that they're right.
the numbers should be right, although I don't think when I ran the math, it didn't account for her lair actions because she can't really force you to take damage with the lair actions. Well, she can once every 3 turns, and so I didn't account for that in the CR calculation.
Yeah.
The lair actions are mostly about her mobility, not her damage.
Yeah. No, I think it's chill. I think
I like it.
No,
at most I think the layer
higher
actions they add
theme.
1 more damage per round or for the calculation.
Yeah.
So I think it looks like this would play very well. Yeah, nothing that super constricts the players, unlike mine, and that's just the nature of what I made though. And a lot of mobility, which I think is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah.
For low level.
I thought that mobility was the easiest way to make a combat interesting without like doing a ton of damage or inflicting a bunch of weird conditions.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what if I just make somebody who can move around really well? And so what I did was I took a monster who normally does not have superior mobility and gave it superior mobility.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can, besides the one con change, which I think is very reasonable, I think we can move on from this one.
I may have been a little bit blinded by how much I liked my idea.
I mean, it's not like you were like blinded. It's just like one thing, just the con coming on one. Other than that, I think this is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to call out, so that masterwork body thing, the language of that I cribbed from a creature in the new Strixhaven book that it's got a feature called Blood Aegis, which is just exactly this. It gets to add its Constitution modifier to its AC while it's not wearing armor or wielding a shield. And that's a Warlock doing it. And so I'm like, oh, that's weird, but that means I don't need to keep unarmored defense only to barbarians and monks. I can just give it to creatures that it makes sense for. And that felt so freeing. And then I was like, actually, this would be kind of cool.
The Swashbuckler NPC kind of does that too. They add.
Oh yeah, they get charisma to their AC. Yeah,
which is why I gave you that option in my campaign.
Yeah, I didn't take it. I should have, but I didn't.
It sucks when you're fighting an ancient dragon. It just always hits you.
God, can you imagine if Penance had a 23 AC in that fight?
Jesus.
Oh Jesus!
All right, let's move on to your next proper noun.
Yes, my next proper noun.
What we got here?
I don't know. You haven't scrolled down on the stream yet. Okay, there we go.
Wow.
So this
You're
is
really behind.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. So this is a Toxa Kreen Warlord. So the Kreen, the Kreen have a complicated history in D&D. In one of the worlds that they appear in 2nd edition, specifically Dark Sun, the Dark Sun campaign setting, there are 6 distinct tribes of Kreen, and 3 of them are Kreen and 3 of them are Tor Kreen, and it's complicated and there's a lot of history and there's a whole book about it, but all you need to know is that the Toxa are one of those tribes. So this is a Toxa Kreen Warlord.
A page of flavor text.
I literally wrote this 5 minutes before we started streaming. I didn't have time. It's a medium humanoid. I've developed the Kreen subtype here because I needed it. Typically chaotic neutral. AC 15, natural armor. Hit points 8d8 plus 16. Speed 40 feet. +1 strength, +2 dex, +2 con, -1 int, +1 wisdom, and a 0 charisma. It's got proficiency in perception, stealth, and survival. It's got 60-foot dark vision and a 13 passive perception. It speaks Kreen and common. It's CR4 and it's got a +2 proficiency bonus. It's got the regular Kreen stuff of Chameleon Carapace and Standing Leap, so it's got advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide, and it can do a 30-foot long jump or a 15-foot high jump without a running start. And then this is where I started doing different stuff. So for its multi-attack, instead of bite, claw, claw, it's spear, dagger, claw, claw, because Thri-Kreen have 4 hands. So it makes a spear attack, it makes a dagger attack, and then it makes 2 claw attacks using the offhand 2-weapon fighting rules where you don't add your ability modifier to the damage. And then for bonus actions, it's got Bark Out an Order, another Kreen within 30 feet of the Warlord that can hear the Warlord, can use its reaction to make a claw attack, and Quick Leap, which lets it move 10 feet without provoking an attack of opportunity. This, I will totally cop to. I came up with this on short notice because I really wanted a second thing, but I thought that this was a nice change of pace from the regular, like, oh, it's a bandit warlord and he's a human with a sword. And it's like, no, you're fighting an insect man with a spear and a sword and 2 more hands. Like,
yeah, I think this one's pretty short and sweet, but I think it's nice, and the action economy of this makes it like threatening for a level 4 group as well.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. This is, I mean, yeah, it's a CR4 creature, but the Bark Out an Order bonus action tells you that this is supposed to be in a group with other Kreen.
Yeah,
so,
but
like,
even then, like I find myself like when I do create like those bandit groups and stuff like that, like yeah, you have the bandit leader, but usually he's not like the end all be all boss almost, because it's hard to like, unless you like start to customize them, and usually I do, but usually it's about the group and there's a couple of them, and this is like, this guy can be the boss, and sure, he has the like barking orders, but if they're all gone, he is still threatening to the group by himself.
Right, yeah, 4 attacks a turn is pretty threatening, even if he's not adding his dex mod to 2 of them.
Yeah, and even if they are like small attacks like D4s.
I ran the numbers.
Yeah.
I got CR1 for this. And I thought that might be the case, because I felt like its damage output was really low.
Wait,
for CR4.
How did you get CR1 for this? Wait, let me run the numbers again.
It's got 13 damage per round from its 4 attacks. And plus 4 attack bonus, which is pretty low.
Oh, Bark Out an Order essentially is another attack.
Okay, I'll add 4 more damage. CR2.
And then it can disengage as a bonus action.
Does that actually add stuff to it?
Yes, Nimble Escape almost doubles both the offensive and defensive CRs.
Wow, that's
that's. I think
that's
you may have heard me.
strange.
You may have heard me say, "Holy shit, what?" like 10 or 15 minutes ago, and that's when I clicked the Nimble Escape button, and that's what it did.
I'm wondering how much of that is from the hide action, though, and not the disengage action.
Well, and I can't separate them on the calculator.
Yeah.
So the thing,
I don't think the disengage action really adds that much at all. Realistically, the hide action does, because they can shoot and hide, shoot and hide, shoot and hide.
Right.
But disengage just gives distance, but that could often be chased down, because it's not like they're dashing as a bonus action.
Well,
40
but
feet of movement, though.
They do have 40 feet of movement, and the bonus action gives them 10 more. I was a little skeptical of that, so maybe this isn't CR4. I think that whatever CR this is, though, I think it is a good encounter. The challenge rating number might need to be adjusted down. Maybe this is just CR2 or something.
Might be high end 2, low end 3.
It's already got the proficiency bonus for that CR. I barely changed the stats at all from the CR1 Kreen. So, like, whatever challenge rating we decide this actually is, I'm fine with it.
I think it's probably CR2 with the additional thing. And part of that is...
Are you sneezing?
Okay. Part of that is this stat block. If he doesn't have any other Thri-Kreen next to him, he's a lower CR.
Yeah.
Because that bonus action can't be used for offensive purposes.
Right, yeah. Then he's just got Quick Leap.
So CR2 makes sense, and I think it's just something that's like, they have a flavor text, what they would in like 4E or something. Oh, like, this is the leader of a battalion or something, or leader of a group.
Right,
like
yeah.
a-
This is a leader of a small band of Kreen warriors.
Yeah. This isn't a boss like a solo boss. This is a boss and like a leader.
Yeah.
Very different.
I specifically picked the Toxa because in the book, they're described as like the most warlike of the Kreen. But I have a lot of opinions about that book.
Do you now?
Yes, I do. If you ever want to just have a stream where I rant about the Kreen, I could probably manage it. Like, I've got so much to say. I've got so much to say.
Just have someone moderating you.
Yeah. Just have someone go heading by heading through that book and be like, well, what problems do you have with this? And it's like, well, let me fucking tell you, man.
Let me tell you why you should hate this. But no, I mean, it's not a super complex one, you know? It's just more attacks and then some cool bonus action maneuvers.
Yeah.
Which I think is very fitting for a very low level boss.
Yeah. That's the thing, because you can't get too fancy when you're giving a boss to your, level 1 characters. It's like, yeah, if I do anything cool, they'll just have a heart attack and die.
Yeah. This is definitely like a level 1, maybe a level 2 boss.
That's the thing. I think that at level 1, this is an appropriate boss encounter. I think at level 2, this might already be downgraded to a mini boss.
Yeah, I was gonna say at level 2, this is probably you're fighting like 8 Kreen and 3 of each follow 2 warlords,
right?
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I like this a lot. I think it's a nice, simple, sweet, and I think the game should have more of this. More of this, the boss allowing their minions to do things type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can.
It also just needs more warlords, both on the player side and the DM side.
Yes, I agree immensely. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next one. This is Zach's. You may notice there's no stat block yet because Zach did a lot of homework. And really wanted us to understand the importance
biggest Bullywug.
The biggest Bullywug.
Oh my god.
I'm excited for this and a little worried that it's stronger than the CR, but I did my best. So biggest Bullywug, also known as the Chosen Bullywug. This is the strongest and trickiest warrior of a tribe that has been picked by the leader of their tribe to be blessed, pampered, and fed endlessly. These bullywugs are usually found in more religious tribes and have grown to a massive size beyond what was thought capable of bullywug. Usually sitting in wait, being tended to by other members of the tribe, while rituals are done daily and tributes, usually of food, are made by tribe members in hopes to stay in good favor with the chosen bullywug. Blessed by shamans, the chosen bullywugs go through daily rituals that are led by the shamans of the tribe. It's said that due to this, the bullywug has gained the ability to grow so large in size and still maintain its nimble and strong form, as well as giving it benefits of magical resilience that otherwise that's worded wrong, but otherwise they wouldn't have. Some have even been seen affecting their swampy surrounding. Egotistical power. The proud, boastful nature of a bullywug shines brightest amongst these bullywugs. They know they are feared by the tribe mates, and with good reason. They would easily squash them. They believe this about all creatures, especially ones stupid enough to approach them on their grounds. And stench so foul. Given the amount of time they spend not moving from the spot they're in, and they have developed an odor that can be noticed miles away. Nearby towns have had smells so foul completely cover their lands and make it nearly unlivable. So I have the layer actions here. I could do these at the end if you want. I'm not sure if it matters.
I think that the layer actions are a nice appetizer.
Yeah.
Biggest Bullywug layer actions. Layer actions on initiative 20, losing to initiative ties, can take one of the following magical effects. Summoning Croak. A bullywug bursts out of the swampy waters in an unoccupied spot within 100 feet of the biggest bullywug. This can only be done if there are 3 or less bullywugs already within the lair. Water Thrashing Croak. The muddy waters beneath one creature within the lair begin to bubble, swirl, and thrash about. Creature that must make a DC 14 dexterity saving throw, taking 2d6 bludgeoning damage on a failed save or half as much on a success. Lashing Vines Croak. The trees use their hanging vines to aid the Bullywug. Choose one creature within 15 feet of a tree within the lair. The vines make an attack roll with +8 to hit against the creature. A creature hit in this way is considered grapple. The creature can attempt to break free of the grapple with a DC 14 athletics or acrobatics.
Jesus.
Biggest Bullywug is a huge humanoid. Bullywug, neutral evil. Armor class 16, natural armor. Hit points 112. Speed 20, swim speed 60. Strength +5, dex +2, con +3, intelligence +0, wisdom +1, charisma +1. Saving throws strength +8, dex +5, con +6. Skills athletics +11. Senses perception 11. Languages Bullywug. I have challenge rating 6 and 7 in its lair, but I don't know how to do the number crunching thing, so I didn't. It has the normal stuff: amphibious, speak with frogs and toads, swamp camouflage, and then when it gets to standing leap, it has strong standing leap. The Bullywug's long jump is up to 60 feet, and its high jump is up to 30 feet, with or without a running start. If the Bullywug lands within 5 feet of a creature, they must make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the target is knocked prone. It has magic resistance, has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. It has multi-attack, makes 2 attacks, one with its slam and one with its tongue. Slam attack is +8 to hit, reach 5, does 1d10 +5 bludgeoning. Tongue is +8 to hit, reach of 15 feet, and 3d6 poison. Target must make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, target is poisoned until the end of their next turn. Nothing on a successful save. And Heavy Gooey Spit. This is an ability that I had on a different Bullywug that I made in a previous stream called Gooey Spit that I've now made Heavy Gooey Spit for this month.
Incredible.
Once per turn, the Bullywug can pick a target within 60 feet. The target must make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the target's speed is reduced by 10. At the end of each of its turns, the target's speed is reduced by 10 additional feet. If a target's speed is reduced to 0 while they have Heavy Gooey Spit on them, the target is considered restrained. The affected creature or another creature within 5 feet can use their action to remove the spit from the target. And legendary action. The biggest Bullywug can take 2 legendary actions, choosing from the options below. Strong Standing Leap. It can use its Strong Standing Leap. Tongue Attack. It can use its Tongue Attack. Or Foul Secretion. Recharge 5 or 6, and it costs 2 actions to do. Choose any number of targets within 60 feet of the Bullywug. They make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is incapacitated until the end of its next turn.
All right. You got any thoughts, Zach?
I with this, I was really trying to play around with different types of conditions to use on lower level party members that weren't quite as like restricting. Like they can still do things, but it can makes it harder for them to do things, or more difficult, or they're being slowed while they're doing it, or it gives him advantage and stuff like that. There's a few things on here that I think might be too strong, but I want to see what you guys say.
Sure.
I am initially, at least my initial reaction is that Foul Secretion seems very, very strong, but that's not a super difficult save, and it's unlikely to happen more than once. Still seems very strong to me, though.
Yeah, I think Foul Secretion, I think the DCs in general, I think, like you said, you didn't do the number crunching. You're not really, like, used to doing that stuff. I do think the DCs and, like, attack stuff might be a bit high if our goal is for this to be a boss for a 4th level or lower party. This is definitely a tier 3, or not tier 3, tier 2, like, high-end tier 2, like, attacks and saves here, with DC 16 and a +8 to attack and stuff. It's not like it's unprecedented for low-level monsters to have this stuff.
But there's generally some other like weakness that'll balance it out if they have that.
Yeah, but like a DC 16 save even for a strong save like Dex. Even people who are proficient in that are going to be failing it most of the time.
Okay.
At level 4, because at level 4 you can expect a +6 bonus to a proficient save, which, well, I guess it wouldn't be most of the time, would it? It'd be 10s and higher would still make it, so it'd be just barely the majority of the time. But for people who aren't proficient, they're going to be failing the vast majority of the time.
Mhm.
If they don't have a high dex otherwise, and normally if you have a high dex, you probably have proficiency in dex. That's just generally how it goes for all the saves.
Mhm.
But other than that, other than like the DCs and those numbers, I don't think. I mean, I think these are really cool things. I like the jumping and knocking prone. I like the slow down to restrain. It's like
yeah,
the slow down to petrification almost.
Yes.
I
Modeled
like
kinda
heavy
after that.
gooey spit a lot. I think that's really
And-
well done.
So part of the reason that those abilities do have higher DCs as well is because it's only being prone, and while that does give him advantage on it, and I could lower these DCs as well, but my reasoning was just it's only being knocked prone, and while that is removing some movement on you and him giving advantage on you for a turn, it's just that. Maybe with how often he can do the leap, it's a little much. And with the heavy gooey spit, it's only lowering your movement speed. It can be removed by you or an ally as an action. And so that's why that one was a little bit higher as well.
Well, even the tongue attack. The tongue attack is the poison condition, which is disadvantage on ability checks and attacks.
Is DC 14 too high?
I think
DC
DC 14 is as high as you should go at these.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was gonna say. So even that one is like at the higher end for tier 1 players.
Okay.
Which is why I was pointing out the 16, because that's above and beyond the 14. And
Okay.
I think honestly, besides the foul secretion, the poison is probably the worst condition on here for a player to get. Because heavy grease spit, it takes a few turns for it to even be that effective. It's really the effect is really effective against this fight particularly, just because this person's very mobile with the jumping ability. Though they would be provoking, since I don't.
They
see
do
anything on
provoke,
here.
yes. No, they still provoke.
One thing about the jumping, technically you can only jump as far as your movement, no matter how good you are at jumping, which I think is really stupid. But rules as written, even though he has a 60-foot long jump, he can never jump further than 20 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
weird.
like it, but if you want him to be able to jump further than his movement, you need to be able to say you need to give him like a bonus action or something that is like he can jump up to 60 feet without using any movement or something like that. Like,
or just standing blunt jump, I guess.
Yeah, that's the
Or
thing.
standing jump.
Yeah, I would just state it in there. I didn't know that was a thing. I want him to be slow moving, but he could jump, basically.
Right, and I think that's cool. I just wanted to let you know that rules as written, the way you've written it, it doesn't work the way you want it to, at least.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Even if you cast jump on somebody, which triples the jump movement, they still can only jump as far as their jump or their movement speed.
Yeah.
Which is why I added the leaping rules in my campaign and stuff to make it so that like you could jump further, because it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but yeah, just adding something like can jump further this move or something like that. I don't know. Will just fix that. I do think. I'm thinking about, because the tongue attack does a lot of damage. The slave attack doesn't do that much. It's a pretty standard attack. And I was thinking with magical resistance, with the ability to incapacitate somebody, legendary actions, I'm wondering maybe even with the DCs lower, whether or not this would be too high, but I'm not sure.
I think that you could pretty easily just like pull some of these damage numbers down, though. Like make the slam attack a D8, make the tongue attack like 3D4 or something. Hell, for foul secretion, maybe make it 30 feet instead of 60 feet. Like it's still incapacitated, but like if we're lowering the DC and lowering the range, it won't hit as many party members. Because like this fight, you're almost certainly going to be scattered around the biggest Bullywug's lair. So like a 30-foot radius will probably hit several people, but not everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm cool with lowering the secretion thing. Do you think the tongue attack does more damage than slam?
So the tongue attack on average will be dealing like
about
9 or 10 damage, and the slam will be dealing like 10 or 11. So it's almost the same amount of damage. And it's got reach, and
I
it
was
can
just
inflict
putting out the.
poison condition.
I only put out the ton attack because he could do that as a legendary action.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it'd be about 40 damage per round from the ton attack alone, and then additional 10 damage from the from the slam, which is like, I think around 50 damage per round is like not out of the ordinary for CR7, but with the addition of the decent armor class and the magical resistance, I'm wondering if maybe the defensive CR brings this up, but I'm not sure.
I was going to say 50 is around the damage output that Kerola was at, and I know that she was at the high end for 7 and like on the cusp of 8. So for the offensive CR is already where it needs to be, so maybe the defensive could come. One of them needs to come down a little bit to compensate.
I think definitely lower the DCs. I agree with you then that if that's kind of where it's at on those levels. And then I could lower the damages on those. Just because the effects that the Bullywug is putting on people is a lot of advantage things that they get.
Sure.
So I'd be fine with lowering the damages, slam to a D8, tongue to maybe 2D6.
Well, and if we're lowering the DCs, we're probably like lowering his stats to make that happen. So like, oh, if he only got a +4 strength, that's 1 damage off of slam every time. Like that's the numbers start to correct themselves as you start like pulling things in line with where you want them to be.
Yeah, I based his stats on the gladiator stats and then adjusted them slightly.
Okay.
So I'm running the numbers. I don't think any of this would be irrelevant.
Oh, are you accounting for the lair actions? Because one of those deals damage.
Oh,
one
right,
of them deals damage.
Oh,
and
that's another thing.
One of them summons.
The thrashing water one, I thought should have them make a save or be knocked prone. Oh yeah, I thought it should just add knocked prone to the save.
So damage and knocked prone, or just knocked prone?
I think it's more interesting if it just knocks them prone. Maybe deal like small damage. Like maybe just have it deal like, I don't know, D8 damage and knock them prone. At least I think that would be a little bit cooler.
I'd be fine with that. I'm fine with that because it really is the thing about this fight was really making it a lot of like restrictive small conditions that kind of end up adding up basically.
Right, like, oh, you're knocked prone now. Oh, you've got 10 feet off your movement. Oh, and you're gonna be restrained next turn. Like, yeah.
So running the numbers, in our handy dandy calculator here, it does 60 damage per round. I said 50, but it does 60 because there's it does 1 attack each. Never mind. It is 50. I'm wrong.
And 50 should be like high 7, right?
As it is, without its lair actions, it's at CR7.
Okay.
Including the magic resistance, that including having 3 saves. That doesn't include the fact that he can incapacitate someone. There's not
it's not a button to click for that.
Yeah, maybe Frightful Presence, but Frightful Presence is definitely stronger because it affects everyone.
Yeah.
And it's free and not 2 legendary actions. So that's without lair actions. That's even with the +8 bonus. I do think that should go down. In fact, if it was +6, it would still be CR7. That's how high the offensive CR was.
Yeah.
The defensive CR just isn't high enough, I guess. Even with the magic resistance, the decent AC, and the saves, which I was surprised by, but I'm not the one who made the math for this, so.
Yeah, well, the defensive stuff was also like the health I knew was going to be lower because it was based on a level 5 gladiator, and the armor class is a little bit lower.
The defensive CR tends to get ratcheted up when you do things like give it a damage resistance or a damage immunity. Like
it has none of those, and it does provoke opportunity attacks when it is leaping around.
Right.
But it's doing things to you that are giving you disadvantage or giving it advantage and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, I
think
this is a really cool Bullywug. I love the Bullywug.
Yeah.
It's just
I think
the math is funky.
I think bringing the strength down to 16, that'll bring the DCs down to 14. That'll bring the attack bonus down to 6. And that'll actually make it a lower side 7 without its lair actions, though.
Right.
The
And
end
so
of
the
layer
lair
actions that
actions,
changes things, especially since it can summon Bullywugs, but that's actually not actually part of CR calculation because demons have that ability and that doesn't affect their CR. So
Right.
What if I
It's-
make the DCs based on I was gonna say con or charisma instead of strength to lower them.
I think that for standing leap, unfortunately, I think that one can't be anything other than strength. Personally, I don't see how it could be anything other than strength.
I think the spit and the secretion could both be based on con though, and make sense.
Yeah, this one is based on con. It looks like, and then
Yeah.
the spit can definitely be based on con.
Yeah, and it looks like the tongue is also already based on
Since
con.
the prone isn't as big of a deal,
Yeah,
I
because it
think
wasn't
it's fine
doing
for that one to have a
damage.
higher CR. Yeah.
yeah, you could maybe go with an 18 strength, keep that at 15, and then the attack bonus is at 7, and that'll make it a middling CR7.
I'd be fine with that because I didn't want. The strength feels a little odd for this to be a 16.
Right, for him to be the biggest, and he's huge, and he's got 16 strength. He's as strong as a regular guy.
Okay, a regular guy's a 10. All right.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
A guard
Yeah.
is like a 14.
Okay, so
Actually,
let
don't know what
me.
a guard is in D&D. Actually, what is it? I'm gonna look it up. Guard,
15 for.
just a regular old guard. 13 for a regular old guard.
Standing leap DC goes down to 15. And what do the DCs for tongue and spit go down to?
They'd actually stay at 14 because we aren't planning on changing his con, and his proficiency bonus is staying the same. So those would stay at 14, but 14 is on the high end of appropriate for this CR. So
Yeah.
And
I
based on the
appropriate,
effects,
especially
I think
for
it's not as.
that's the thing. Like they're definitely good effects, but like incapacitated is the only backbreaking one, and he's probably not getting that back in a combat. And even if he does get it back, it takes all of his legendary actions to do it. So
Yeah, so I was thinking of making that 30 feet like you suggested. I think that's just a good idea in general.
mhm.
And then recharge just 6. I don't know if that really matters.
I mean, it would make it almost guaranteed that he doesn't get it back. I think it's a pretty marginal difference.
I think it's 5 at 5 or 6.
Okay.
It's only a 1-turn incapacitation, which is annoying, but like it's not like he's spamming at all the party members and rooting the whole encounter. One person might have a bad time because they got affected by it, but they could also make their save and it does nothing. So
Right, and they might feel like a real big strong man if like they make it and another party member misses it. Like
yeah.
And the con
It
save
is kind
on
of
that
funny.
goes down to 14 as well. Or is it already at? I'm looking at my other sheet.
Oh,
yeah, it's already.
wait. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Foul secretion is everyone.
yeah. That's why I was saying like bring it down to 30 feet.
That is really strong to incapacitate them.
Can
all.
you still do bonus actions when you're incapacitated, or is it all actions?
No, it's no actions at all.
Okay.
You can move still.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of that, instead of changing the recharge, just add once you save, it doesn't affect you anymore. So
Okay.
people who save against it once have already overcome the smell. People who fail it could still fail it again later, but
I think I would still keep the recharge on it, though.
See, and that feels worse to me.
I think
Why
I
is
would
that?
keep the recharge on it still.
The fact that you could have one player who just gets hit by this every turn and never gets to take a turn.
I'm not saying get rid of the recharge.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
Oh, I thought that's
No.
exactly what you said. I thought you said get rid of the recharge and replace it with this.
No, don't reduce the recharge is what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, otherwise you'll be using this every fucking turn as the Bullywug, and that'd be fucked up.
Yeah.
You can only use it as a legendary action.
That's the thing, it's only as a legendary action, and you probably only get to use it once.
Yeah, but it is. If you have it, you're using this. You'd be a fool not to.
Slam to a D8.
I could go either way on that. I think it's probably
I don't
all
think
right
we
where
need to
it
change
is.
the damage numbers at all.
Okay.
I think the damage numbers
not
are
even
fine.
for the poison stuff?
No, not even for the poison stuff. The damage output is, like I said, it's 50 per round. That's assuming they don't use foul secretion, which they will. But
Right, so that takes it down by 20 the round that they use it.
Yeah, and
Oh, and changing the lair action to lower damage, but also knock prone.
okay, yeah, 1d8, but knocked prone. I was surprised the magic resistance wasn't stronger because reading this out loud on here, I was thinking that the magic resistance might have ended up being.
I think the
More
magic
big of a deal.
resistance is the strongest defensive ability it has, but other than that, it doesn't have much going on defensively. So
Yeah, it felt like it would. It didn't have enough defense if I didn't have that.
Magic resistance surprisingly only adds 1 CR to defensive CR.
Oh wow.
It's obvious. I think magic resistance it's really dependent on what saves you even have, and if I'm a spellcaster, I'm probably not throwing con saves at this thing, since its whole thing is being this disgusting rotting mess. Or not rotting, but it smells like it's rotting. And maybe dex saves, but like its dex isn't that good anyway, so like you could still get away with those. I'd probably be aiming for like some psychic damage or something, honestly.
Yeah, you probably want to target its mental saves, like.
Yeah, which I mean, you would probably get from just like seeing this thing and kind of bullywugs in general.
Yeah,
this is one of those monsters where it's like I don't need an intelligence check to know like what saves are probably good at. Like,
right? Yeah. Oh, it's a big fuck off beast. It's probably good at strength and con saves. Maybe dex.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm happy with those changes to bring it down. And does that end up making it still a high end 7 or?
I think that puts it at a mid level 7.
Yeah, mid like 7, maybe even low end because its defensive CR is 6 and defensive CR 7.
Okay. Cool.
So.
Yeah, I'm happy with those. I was pretty happy with what I had come up with this. How do you guys feel about the different types of conditions that I have in here?
I think it's a really smart way to make a low level encounter interesting. Like I focused on movement, you focused on conditions, and I think that they both work.
Because I don't remember if it was this where we talked about it, or I think last week at some point we were talking about the low level encounters and how you want to be careful to not give them the too restricting of conditions. So I played around with reducing speed basically instead of making my monster speedy.
Yeah, I think the closest to overstepping is the incapacitated, because being incapacitated is,
which is why I gave
really
it a recharge.
But I think restrain and prone are both very fine conditions because neither one of them restrict what you can do, just makes them worse.
Right.
Whereas incapacitated does restrict what you can do.
Speed as well.
Yeah. Again, movement speed's another thing where it's like it doesn't affect what you can do, just how good you can do it.
Yeah. Well, and all of the statuses it inflicts, aside from the incapacitated, they have a way out. It's like, okay, you got covered in spit, spend a turn breaking yourself out. Like, oh, you got knocked down, spend half your movement standing up. Like, oh, you're restrained by vines, making an acrobatics check to get out of it. Like, they all have ways out of them that aren't just, well, sit around and wait until you make your save.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of condition tokens at this table, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Restrained, incapacitated, and poison.
And grappled.
And prone. Oh god.
Yeah, I was very happy with using the conditions and ways to get them to work, and the gooey spit to, like, even then, like, especially with the reach on his tongue, and like he can jump around, and if you're getting stuck, like not being able to catch up to him, he can stay out of your reach or be able to like get advantage on you or give you disadvantage with poisoned, and I was happy with this.
I can see why.
It's fun.
I like this a lot.
I can't wait to throw all these bosses at the same time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't wait to see Zach's Bullywug adventure.
Oh my god! After making this, I want to do it so bad.
We'll have a full stream of me ranting about the Kreen. We'll have a full stream of Zach's Bullywug adventure.
All right.
I just have to make a Bullywug shaman, and that's it. We're good. I just have to make a magical Bullywug.
Hell yeah! I'm honestly surprised that you haven't. I thought that you did when we did the variant monsters the first time.
I did Lord and different type of Bullywug trapper.
Oh, like
instead of
the
warrior.
trapper. Right. Oh, yeah. And you also did that Bullywug fucking trickster kit or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one with the spit juice for charges.
Yep.
Oh, fluid. Bullywug fluid. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Just nondescript fluid.
Now I've got foul secretion and heavy gooey spit.
You definitely make the grossest stuff.
All right. Let's get on. I think Justin's is actually next.
I was gonna say, who's next? You or Justin?
Justin, why are there so many bullet points on this?
He already said, I apologize now for format.
All right. I'll read his and mine since you guys both had 2 pages of things to read.
That's fair.
Terror Troll. Large Giant. Chaotic Evil. Armor class 15. Hit points 84. Speed 40. Strength 18. Dex 13. Con 20. Int 9. Wisdom 10. Charisma 10. Skills are Perception and Intimidation. Okay. Damage resistances are Fire and Acid. Okay. Already changed. Condition immunities. Frightened. Senses. 6 feet of dark. 13 passive. Giant language. Challenge 6. Proficiency 3. Alright. Got keen smell on this. 4 smell. Regeneration. 10 hit points. If it takes acid or fire damage, the trait doesn't. Okay, so it still has an effect. It's just not. Okay. So it still gets stumped by acid or fire. Actions. Multi-attack. Makes 3 attacks. 1 with bite, 2 with claws. Bite, claw, claw. Classic. Bite, pretty standard. Claw, pretty standard. Got some plus 7s. 1d6 for the bite, but 2d6 for the claw. That's interesting. Alright, looks like everything's in the legendary actions. Alright. Legendary actions. The 3, okay. Harvest the Fearful. Each creature the Terror Troll's choice that is within 60 feet of the Terror Troll and aware of it must make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or become terrorized for 1 minute. If a creature saving throw is successful or the effect ends for the creature is immune for the Terror Troll's frightful presence.
Where did you get this ability from?
Until the start of their next turn. A creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, and whenever the Terror Troll takes fire or acid damage. Okay, that's interesting.
Ooh, okay, that's cool.
Any effect on itself on a success. A terrorized creature has its movement speed reduced to 0. It has disadvantage on ability checks and cannot attack the Terror Troll. Additionally, the Terror Troll has advantage on attack rolls against creatures that are terrified, and the creature takes an extra 2d6 physic damage when hit. Wow. All right.
That's very
Hunt the
powerful.
Horrified. The Terror Troll moves twice its movement speed toward terrified creature, and Feast upon Fear. The Terror Troll makes a claw attack at 1 creature in range.
So do I want to say one thing real quick? Those numbers on the attacks are the standard for the troll. Justin just copy pasted those.
Okay.
So
cool.
they aren't interesting, as it turns out.
Oh, that's odd. Usually the single attack thing is the one that does the most damage. That's surprising.
Normally it is. I think that they do it this way because on the regular troll stat block, there's a statement about, if it takes a certain amount of damage, you can have one of its arms fall off and be a separate creature.
Oh,
so
right.
The arms deal a little bit more damage on their own because they might be a separate creature.
That makes sense. So, first impressions. 1, I love the idea of incentivizing attacking its resistances in order to get a different kind of upper hand on it.
That is really cool.
My other thought is that Harvest the Fearful is way too strong.
Agreed. Yeah, the fact that the fact that if you fail the save, it essentially takes you out of the fight entirely until you make it, but also punishes you by letting it move to you for free and deal more damage on its attacks against you. That just seems way too punishing, especially for a low-level boss.
Considering we were just talking about how we wanted to reduce how often we can use the incapacitated condition, this is much worse than incapacitated condition. Because I know you don't say they can't take actions, but they explicitly cannot attack the troll, which could be the action they want to take pretty much all the time.
That's and this is something that's way worse against marshals than it is against casters. Because a caster can just target the troll's save. But the marshal just can't do anything. They can't move to the troll. They can't attack it.
And the additional psychic damage is hurtful. Though, without the psychic damage, its attack out or its damage output's not that high.
That's the thing. Without the psychic damage, its damage output is the same as a regular troll. Well, actually, slightly higher because of legendary actions, but it's basically the same as a regular troll, which is CR5. What if instead of speed reduced to 0 and wait, I meant for the player to still do AoE spells, take the dodge action, the help action. How are they supposed to help if they aren't in range though? You have to be in range to help. Apply buffs or debuffs. Those are things that players have available to them, but not at low levels for the most part. So what I was going to suggest. Oh, go ahead.
I just want a quick note on that message. Telling the player that their options are to take the dodge action is not fun. Because that's still doing nothing.
Right. It's just doing nothing and not getting punished for it.
Yeah.
So what if instead of speed reduced to 0, disadvantage on ability checks, and can't attack the Terror Troll, what if it's speed reduced to half, disadvantage on ability checks, and disadvantage on attack rolls against the Terror Troll? You can still attack, but you're less effective at it. You can still move, but you're not moving as far.
I mean, at that point, it's basically just a frightened condition.
But you can still move towards them.
True. This does not make them frightened. It makes them terrorized, which is different.
Yes.
Which also overcomes frightened immunity, but that doesn't matter for low-level parties. So, I mean, that is an alternative, like a sort of nerfed frightened condition. It's worse frightened condition at that point. That's sort of the point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is already worst frightened condition.
Well, this is worse for the players. What I described is worse for the troll.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it still sucks.
Yeah, it still sucks. I think the frightened condition already kind of sucks because you can't move toward the troll with the frightened condition. But not being able to move at all when technically I have the option to move. Or no, you don't have the option to move. You can't move at all. Never mind. I was gonna say something dumb.
Well, don't do that.
Is your idea on this one that like the troll catches these the group off guard, uses this, and then immediately like goes at them while they can't get away, and then you're expecting them to make the saves after that to get out of it?
Oh god, I just thought, oh fuck, if this troll surprises a party, they're just fucking sitting ducks. It's like,
until
okay,
they save.
You failed your save on its legendary action, and then on its turn, it's dealing 13d6 in damage. God, that's brutal if this thing surprises you.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty terrified when I die.
I do think, and the fact that you can't attack it makes it hard to even trigger the fire and acid resistance to be able to extra save.
Yeah, I like the concept here.
Yes,
I just think that
it's a little bit
you are afflicting is too strong.
Yeah, especially without a recharge. It's just
I mean, once you save, you're immune to it.
Oh yeah,
that's
I guess.
That is well, you're you're immune to it until you're immune to it until the start of your next turn. Not forever. It's just like Frightened Presence. They can still do it once per round and still affect everyone.
Ooh,
fuck! Frightful Presence is an important ability even on the high CR dragons. Putting it on this low CR thing is too much.
Okay. Yeah, I think that especially with not being immune, I thought you were immune to it, like the normal ones were like you're immune to it.
I think changing
24 hours.
I think end of the turn's fine. I think you could do.
I think end of the turn's fine if it's a lesser condition.
Yes.
If it's this condition, 24 hours.
But then after that terror, like then you're never using Harvest of the Fearful again, and it becomes like not anything. Like you're using it once, and then
here's our problem.
And then it just becomes like a regular troll almost with legendary action.
I think the weaker condition is what would let us save the most of this stat block conceptually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Weakening the condition lets you leave most of it in place.
Yeah, I sorry, I think the condition is too strong.
Yeah. Especially if you can repeat it. Not being able to move, not being able to attack. Like, what else are you doing at that point?
But yeah. And then unfortunately,
especially for
because
a low-level party, because high-level parties might have other options. They might have like, oh, well, you know what? I can't attack this turn. Let me spend the turn draining a potion from my bag. Like, that's at least something to do. But like at level 3, at level 4, what are you gonna do with your turn?
Like half speed is like one of the easiest ways to do it. But maybe even if you wanted to do something like your speed becomes 10, like
yeah.
I do like the like your speed becomes language instead of like, oh, your speed was reduced to 10. It's just like, or reduced by 10 or reduced by half. It's just your speed becomes 10. It's like, oh, you can barely move at all. Like,
yeah, because I get that you want them to like not like you want them to not be able to move, but you need to be able to move a little bit, kind of, and then they can still with that do things to themselves, buffing wise, or like increasing their own speed if they have the abilities to.
Well, and even if with their 10 feet of movement, they can't get into attack range for the troll, they have control over what they're doing. They could move away from the troll. They could move into range to help someone. They could move to an advantageous position for a ranged attack. Like, they've got options then.
I think I personally like reduce by half because it's roughly 10, but also for players who are like a monk or maybe like a wood elf monk or something that has more movement, they're like, okay,
it's less punishing for them. Sure.
Yeah, it's like I could still shine in this moment because I get more movement because of this thing.
Yeah.
Or like
That's
if you're
fair.
medium instead of small, for instance.
Yeah, I do think that reduce by half is the cleaner solution. I have a soft spot for the becomes 10 thing though. That's language that I would like to see used somewhere. Maybe not here,
Yeah,
but I like that language. In fact,
I do too.
I'm going to add it to my notes app.
Be careful
for
though,
my design
because
notes.
what if the effect hits someone who is in a grapple condition? Their speed goes up because of the effect.
When you're grappled, your speed can't be increased.
Oh, does it say that? Okay, well then.
I'm pretty sure it does, because I've tried to do funky shit with, hey, but what if you're grappled before? And I couldn't make it work.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And if you're not happy with any of the changes that we've suggested here for this, I think just in general, the effect needs to be a little bit toned down for whatever you think is best for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's I don't want to say that like, oh, these are the changes we are making to Justin's thing. Just these are the changes we're suggesting, and Justin isn't here. Well, Justin's here in spirit, but he died. So
yeah, he just can't.
The rough thing is that clearly Justin took a troll and was like, Legendary. I have this idea for a troll. It's all based on this idea because everything else is pretty standard. And that obviously was the thing where we're like, ooh.
Which that was the thing about the troll too. So
right. Well, and I mean, this is a successful idea. It's just that the condition is a little bit too much.
You like the speed becomes 10 specifically and allow them to attack the troll?
I think it's because of the idea that like he wanted it to be 0 because he wanted them to be not able to move because they're scared. So he wants it to be as low as possible, but still manageable, which is why I suggested 10. I think you could go with that, but I think it would feel bad, like Shawn said, for those classes that do have the higher speeds, that they don't get the chance to shine. I think personally it could go either way. The having it is like the easiest way to do it and does still allow those classes to shine, but becoming 10, I think
becoming 10 helps to impress upon the players what has happened to them. Like having their speed, it's like, oh, well, there's any number of mechanical reasons why my speed might be cut in half, but it's like, no, you're so frightened that like you are reduced to just a shambling walk. Like you can barely move at all. Like I think that the becomes 10 language does a better job of like conveying that flavorfully, but maybe that's just me.
I don't know. I think the DM just saying, okay, you failed, you are terrorized is enough, honestly.
Okay, yeah. The named condition also does a lot of that work. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean we could do either. I mean it's splitting hairs. I personally, it's a preference thing. I personally like halved. I get why 10 makes sense.
And I see where you're coming from. I
Yeah,
definitely agree
absolutely.
that 10 or that halved is the cleaner way to do this.
Other than that, I mean, I like the idea of this. Like I said, I first and foremost, like the idea of
Encouraging the attacks on resistances.
encouraging the attacks and resistances. And
Yeah.
I get why you made
Yes.
such an extreme condition, because that makes that more valuable. The
Mhm.
problem is that, like, it's
If you can't
so
attack
strong.
then you're never triggering that second effect.
It does have the same problem as a normal troll, especially for a low-level party. The marshals aren't doing shit to this thing. It's on the casters to have the onus to deal the Azer fire damage to it.
Mhm.
Trolls are already a rough low-level creature to fight.
What makes you say that, Shawn? Did you fight a troll recently?
I think at that point, you should probably give your marshals, if they're gonna face a troll, you should give your marshals something like a weapon that does like minimal fire damage or something. Or like they give you a special weapon for the quest.
Or a consumable that can deal one of those damage types. Oh, you have a vial of alchemist's fire, or like
like a rag that you
acid,
wipe on your sword and it now does fire damage for an hour. Like
does a torch actually deal fire damage? Is that part of the rules?
I think so. I think it deals 1 fire damage.
I'm always unsure about that.
I do like the idea of this for like you're sent to hunt this terror troll.
If you make a melee attack with a burning torch and hit, it deals 1 fire damage.
Okay. So the melee, they have an opportunity.
Yeah, they do have something.
If you saw this with Alchemist Fire, technically, you could keep it as is, because Alchemist Fire is not an attack. It's a save. You could throw that shit. Or is that acid? Maybe fire is an actual attack.
But
anyway,
you'd have disadvantage on the ability check to throw it, though.
I don't think there actually is an ability check. I think it's just within 30 feet.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I guess if you wanted to throw it further, the DM could be like, all right, make a strength check for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it sounds like Justin's down with disadvantage on attacks, and speed becomes 10.
Once we weaken the condition, is the 2d6 psychic damage to terrorized targets fine?
So this creature does like no damage. Even with the psychic damage, it's only doing 25 per round.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have any legendary actions to actually attack.
Yeah, it does.
Oh wait. I'm sorry. I'm done.
How is it only dealing 25 per round? The psychic damage would add 21 alone.
Oh, you know what? I didn't add the psychic damage to all attacks. So hold on.
Yeah.
So wait, 18 plus 21.
So that's 39.
So that's 39 plus another
possible 3
14,
legendary actions.
Which is 53. Oh wait, 3 legendary actions.
Yeah, possibly.
And the legendary attack. And the legendary attack is a claw attack, not a bite attack.
Okay, yeah.
Ooh.
It might be too much damage. It might be too much damage.
What if it's
it is only on those targets, but you're only attacking those targets at that point?
What if it's just 1d4 psychic damage, so that it's a little bit extra, but not like the bulk of the damage?
What if it's like I did with the Bullywug and it's only 2 legendary actions?
Taking it down to 2 legendary actions, I think, could be a good call here.
I think that might be a good call.
Take it down to 2 legendary actions, make it 2d4 psychic.
2d4 is like not a nerf whatsoever. It's only 2 less damage.
Well, it's 2
less
less
damage.
Well, I guess it's 2 less damage
over like 6 attacks.
That's 6 times. That's 12 damage. Well, and that's the thing. That's the problem with this, is that it's like, oh, 2d6 doesn't seem that big, but on every attack for something with multi-attack and 3 legendary actions.
So first round. Okay, so first round of attacks, it's doing 29. 2 claw attacks, 1 bite attack. Every other round for that, it's gonna do 2 more. It's gonna do 2 more claw attacks after it does the Harvest Fearful.
Yes.
So it's additional 22, which is 41.
Yes.
Then for 2 more rounds, it's going to do all 6 attacks with psychic damage, probably.
Yes.
Because when you do the damage calculation, you assume all hits and failures on saves.
Yes.
So, and then all of that divided by 3. So roughly,
I've already lost the numbers.
I'm gonna say roughly 55 per round.
That's about what I was coming out to too.
which is
Is
CR
that-
8.
Is that with 3 legendary actions?
Yes.
That is.
Yeah,
Take it
that's
down to 2.
Take
Well,
it down
2
to
for the
2.
first round only. Oh, if you take it down to 2.
If you take it down to 2.
Yeah, because if you take it down to 2, that takes a claw attack off of every round.
Which
So,
should be 18
4d6.
damage.
18.
So
So that'd be
47.
that'd be
Still
37.
CR 8.
Wait, 37 is still CR 8?
47.
37. 55 minus 18.
I
Yeah,
can't do math.
it's hard.
There you go. CR 7
There we go.
with 38
Yeah.
damage per round.
So
Which
that's
is
Not CR6 that he had, but
Which is a rough estimate.
that's leaving the 2d6 psychic damage, but taking it down to 2 legendary actions per turn. I think that's reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Justin, what do you think of that?
Ooh, don't mind me. Yeah, what do you think of that, Justin?
I saw that spreadsheet, Shawn.
I'm just doing a quick thing, you know. You know how it is.
Justin says that works.
I'm just gonna make sure that we got our numbers right real quick. Just because yeah, no, I don't think we did. I don't think we did at all.
Oh, no. Were we underestimating it?
Yes, by quite a bit. Hold on. Equals average of these 3 numbers. 91.
Jesus God. Wait,
Because
That's-
if you
that's
include
not
psychic, if you include psychic damage on every hit, right? That's already 42 just from the psychic damage out of 6 attacks.
yeah.
oh God, yeah. And that's less than half of the. Fuck.
Yeah.
This is way too much
Plus-
damage.
Plus, you have advantage on these people that are terrorized.
Yes. Oh yeah, you have advantage as well.
God. Oh
Which
man.
increases to the 2 hit, which would technically affect things, but I'm not gonna bother about that.
I mean, if you made it 1d4.
Yeah.
41 damage because it has. If you're adding 7 damage to each attack, and it has 6 attacks in a whole round, 3 on its
Yeah.
turn, 3 for every legendary action that it's using, that is 21 plus 21, 42 damage in a round just psychic. If you're doing the average 7 damage from the psychic that you have listed, not even including the extra 11 from your claws, 22.
If you added
44,
no, never mind.
and then another 7 and another
So
7.
even if we take this down to 2 legendary actions, that's still 80 damage per turn. If we take it down to 2 legendary actions and 2d4 instead of 2d6, that takes it down to 70 per round. Holy shit.
1d4?
Let me try 1d6. That'll be
3.
3.5
damage
times
less.
14, so that's 49. 190. Fuck, that's still 60 damage.
Yeah.
All right, let me try it at 1d4. That's
What is a troll's CR in general?
5. It's normally 5. Okay, at
Yeah.
1d4 psychic damage and 2 legendary actions per turn, the lowest I'm able to get this down to is 59 damage per round.
And I mean, it has trolls have pretty decent defensive CR, especially with regeneration.
I say the regeneration makes the regeneration is where all of their defensive CR comes from, but it accounts for a decent amount.
But the fact that they have resistance on this,
Right, resistance on the fire and acid damage.
plus this effect, while a D4 might not feel as good, is also giving you advantage, slowing movement, giving them disadvantage.
Right.
This is doing a lot, so maybe even reducing the claw attack's damage or something.
The thing is,
weird thing-
I feel weird about reducing the claw attack just because this is supposed to be an upgrade on a troll, and so making it weaker than the troll in any aspect feels wrong.
What if you made the claw attack 1d6, but the psychic damage 1d6 instead of 1d4?
How about
Because the
this?
psychic damage is like you're getting through like barbarians and stuff like that with that sort of resistance.
How about you?
Plus, you're getting the whole effect from the terrorize.
How about you add as a separate thing from the Harvest the Fearful? Once on the troll's turn, when it hits a creature that is terrorized, it deals the additional 2d6.
Okay, so that's only once per turn, and it's never on the legendary action. That only adds 66 across the whole combat. That's only adding 42 damage across the whole combat. 184. So if it's that, leaving it at 2 legendary actions per turn, we're still at 60 damage per round.
That's doing the 2d6 once per an attack.
The 2d6 once per turn.
Yeah, 63. 2d6 once per turn is 63 damage.
I'm getting 61, but
I'm assuming that on the first turn it doesn't get the. Oh, you're getting a lower number than me. I'm not sure. And that's with 3 legendary actions, by the way. I'm getting 63.
I'm doing it with 2 and getting 61.
So first round 7, 11, 11, 11, 11.
No, it has to use. Oh, on first round it has to use Fearful Harvest once.
Right. So there should be 5 attacks total, 3 on its turn, and then 2 legendary actions.
Oh, holy shit! Wait, no, I'm only doing 2 legendary actions.
Okay, let me remove 1 legendary action per round. I'm getting 52.
I'm getting 61.
And that's 7, 11, 11, 11.
I've got 3 7s and 11 11s.
Why do you have 3 7s?
There's 1 7 on each turn. Oh, I'm missing 1 11. That's what it is. I'm short 1 11. Okay, yep.
This is the mastery now.
4.
Hold on, let me just walk through what I'm getting.
Okay.
7 for the first bite.
Yes.
Claw, claw, claw.
Yes.
Right? 14 for the next bite.
And then 4 claws.
Then 4 claws, which would be a total of 58 for that round.
Oh, you aren't giving it the I see what I did wrong. You aren't giving it the Harvest the Fearful damage on the first turn, and I was accidentally doubling the damage.
Okay. So 52. So if we did it once per turn, that'd be 52, which is where we thought it was before.
Yes.
Which brings it down to...
Should be high CR7, low CR8.
CR8.
Yeah.
What if I did
God.
this?
Okay, wait. What if we take it down to 2d4?
That's 50 damage per round. Doesn't change much.
Oh, God damn it.
1d6, 1d4.
I keep in mind I am adding 1.5 to its health because of the resistance to fire and acid.
Yeah.
Especially since the fight is encouraging to use those damage types.
Which is what the calculator says you should do.
And I gave it Frightful Presence and Regeneration, because Frightful Presence is effectively Harvest the Foul, or Harvest the Fearful. So I'm still getting CR8.
Wait a second. Even with no extra psychic damage, I'm getting 43 damage per round with 2 legendary actions.
I'm getting
44
47.
actually. I've got 7, 11, 11, 11, 7, 11, 11, 11, 11, 7, 11, 11, 11, 11.
Right, which is 40, then 51, then 51. Average those, it's 47.
Wait a second. I've got...
Are you averaging the whole, like, each instance, or are you averaging per round?
I'm just averaging over the whole 3 rounds.
Well, are you averaging the average of the total damages, or are you averaging all of the numbers?
I'm adding all of the numbers together and then dividing by 3. What else would I be doing?
I don't know. I don't know how we're getting different numbers then.
Okay, I've got 11 11s and 3 7s, which should be 142.
Yeah, 11 11s and 3 7s.
Is 142. And 142 is divided by 3 is 47, right?
Right, which is what I have.
What the fuck was I saying?
I don't know. We were saying different numbers, though.
Okay, cool. All right.
47.
Math time is over. I get enough of that at school.
All right. There's a number here we can find. If we do Psychic once per turn, then I think there's a solution here. I don't think we can do it with every attack. Because if this troll gets everybody with it and he could do it once per round, some people are going to fail and that troll's going to target them.
So what I was trying to say before we got distracted by the math is that even with no additional psychic damage, this is dealing CR7 damage because it's getting attacks on legendary actions.
True.
Even with no additional psychic damage, it is dealing CR7 damage.
If you made it not have legendary.
Honestly, if you turn some of those things into like bonus actions, if Harvest the Fearful became a bonus action and moving twice its speed and Feast upon the Fearful like became just bonus actions it could take, like,
or if like Hunt the Horrified was just like an ability that it had, like if some target was terrified, then it moved twice its movement. It could move. Well, because then it's missing the point of the legendary action that you want. But yeah, giving it legendary actions and an attack on legendary actions is already making it a 7. Adding psychic damage is just going to push it way over.
This is a wonderful object lesson in the power of action economy. By giving this thing 3 extra actions a turn, even if you did nothing else, you've upped its CR by 2.
Mm-hmm.
What if we change that from 1.5 to 1.25 since it's allowing the party to make an additional save whenever it happens?
It's
no.
Even then,
because what you're doing by allowing the party to get additional save is incentivizing the party to target its resistances, and if that's all they do, it effectively doubles its HP. So it actually should be higher because of the save thing.
Yeah.
Because what accounting for resistances does in the calculator is just give it more HP.
Yeah, because there's no guarantee that you're going to get out of the save just because you got to reroll it again because it got hit by that damage.
Yeah.
And if it's getting hit by that damage and you're not getting out of it, they're going to want to hit it with that damage again to get you out of it, but it's resistant. So it's just like cycling back.
Okay, what if, and I'm starting to step on concept here, so I'm not sure if Justin is willing to do this. We could fuck with the damage on its regular attacks if we like change the troll fundamentally in some way. What if we make it an undead troll? Then it would make a little bit more sense that it's like, oh, it's regular attacks deal different amounts of damage because it's a different thing. It's an undead troll instead of just a bigger, badder troll.
Oh, I see.
Then we could lower the claw damage.
Gotcha. Moving the Harvest Fearful ability, it does on its turn, and then Hunt the Horrified and feature Feast upon the Fear to a bonus action. I think if Harvest the Fearful is an action it can take, like a breath weapon, almost.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that would be a worthwhile change because that would remove 3 whole attacks, which I think is worth.
That would reduce all of its attacks. Oh, if you just make that an action instead of a legendary action,
right?
And
make
keep
that
the legendary actions.
Well, I don't think we're talking about keeping legendary actions. We're talking about moving Harvest the Fearful to an action, and then move Hunt the Horrified and Feast upon the Fear to bonus actions. So it can still get a 4th attack, but it's not getting 6 attacks.
But then if it's doing Harvest the Fearful as an action, it's not doing any other attacks besides the bonus action 1 attack, and this thing only lasts until
on that 1 turn, but afterwards it can just do its attacks. It doesn't have to worry about
right. Especially because Harvest the Fearful is every creature within 60 feet for a minute.
I see. I didn't see it was a minute. I was thinking it was just the 1 turn.
Oh yeah, no, it's not just the 1 turn.
If it were just the one turn, it wouldn't be quite as bad because it would need to do it every turn with its legendary actions to keep up the damage. But yeah, I think moving that.
Yeah, removing legendary actions I think is the play here. I think we're onto something. I think Harvest Fearful as an action, they do it on their first turn to get the advantage of this state that they want, and then just go fucking ham on claws and bites after that.
Yeah, and that is still absolutely brutal as a surprise round.
It is. As a surprise round, especially, would be brutal.
Yeah.
But it does effectively have its damage out. Well, 4/6 its damage output.
Right. Multiplies by 2/3 its damage output.
Yeah. Which I think would be good. And then keep the psychic thing to once per round, I think.
I think that's appropriate.
And then boom, I think we have our numbers. Wow, that was the most we've ever cared about the numbers of an ability on this show so far.
I was going to say something about it because normally we just do that off stream. Normally we identify what direction we want to take the numbers in and then just do the math off stream. But this time, no.
No. Well, the numbers just made it way too strong.
But
yeah, I mean, the numbers were the problem.
Definitely a great lesson on action economy.
Phenomenal object lesson on how powerful action economy is in 5e.
Yes. Do not take your goblin boss and just give it a bunch of legendary actions. It will kill the party.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the terror troll.
Especially if the legendary actions that you're giving it are just attacks.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're giving it unique legendary actions that aren't attacks that are interrupting or influencing the PCs in some other way, then maybe. But just attacks, just damage, you're just overwhelming them at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's just fucking jump through my last one here real quick so we can.
All right, let's go.
Zach told me to make a spider boss earlier today, and I'm like, fine, I will. Spider Broodmaster, large monstrosity, typically true neutral, not a beast. It's a monstrosity.
Nice.
Hate you.
This guy's fucked up.
And it has intelligence.
Nice.
Armor class, same as Giant Spider. Way more hit points Giant Spider. Same speed as Giant Spider. Strength, Dex, Con, Int, Wiz, Charisma. All is the same except for Int. It is smarter than Giant Spider.
It's only marginally less smart than a person.
Still a negative one.
I think its Con is also a little bit better as well because I wanted its DCs to be a little bit better. Stealth. It's got stealth. It's got blends at the 30 feet, not 10 feet. It knows Undercommon, so it knows a language. Challenge 7, proficiency bonus 3. Silk Safeguard. While in contact with the web, the spider has advantage on strength and dexterity saving throws.
Nice.
Spider Climb, Web Sense, Web Walker, all the standards. Multi-attack. The spider makes 2 bite attacks. It can replace 1 attack with its web if it is available. Bite. +6 to hit. It's the exact same as the giant spider. D8 damage, but also a con save for more poison damage. It's a slightly higher saving throw. Actually should be a 13, not a 12. I didn't fix that.
Tisk.
No, it should be a 12. It should be a 13.
Yeah, 13.
It should be 13.
It's got a plus
anyway, if you fail, you take poison damage. If you die, if you're reduced to 0, you become unconscious for an hour, which is pretty fun, but doesn't actually mean anything really. Web, same. +6 to hit. Restrains on a hit. DC 12 strength check to break out, or you can damage it with fire or whatever. But what really makes this is the legendary actions. It has 2 legendary actions that it can make per round. Shallow Bite. The spider makes a bite attack, but this bite attack does not inflict poison damage. So, not double dipping on that damage because it's too much, I thought. Silk Shuffle. The spider can move itself or one creature it can sense with its web sense within 30 feet of it to another space within 15 feet of the spider, which is in the shared web. So essentially, you're in the web with the spider. It can move people around in that web. This movement does not provoke attacks of opportunity, whether it's the spider or another creature it moves. And then Web Puppeteering. The spider targets one creature it can sense with its web sense within 30 feet of it. The creature must succeed in a DC 12, should be 13, strength saving throw. Oh no, that should be 12. Or it must use its reaction to make 1 weapon attack against another creature of the spider's choice. So essentially,
very anime, and I love it.
It just uses the web to make you make an attack for it.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Damage wise and like stats wise, this should be CR6. I crunched the numbers. If we want to do
Yeah.
another numbers thing to figure this out,
I
it's largely the same as the giant spider, just it has legendary actions, so it does more damage.
Mhm.
But obviously, with weapon tiering, the damage you could do is variable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's, you know,
I think that for that, I would just do the math, assuming it does shallow bite every time. And
That's
if
what I
weapon tiering happens to be effective, that's just a bonus.
yeah, that's basically what I did. If you just assume he does all shallow bites, it's CR6. I gave it, it's a high-end CR6, and I gave it a CR7 because I was like, if the players have a good, like, if you can reckless attack as barbarian, or not even reckless attack, if you have like a good weapon, maybe your ranger has poison arrows or something, it could do something like that.
Yeah.
But
So
necessarily, the players don't have to make the best attack for the spider's sake.
Right. Yeah. So, here's my question: is sneak attack optional?
Yes, I think it says you can deal extra damage
think so.
when you hit.
Because I was gonna say it'd be fucked up if this spider could make your rogue get sneak attacks on people.
That'd be pretty funny.
Um,
It'd be hard for it to do that,
that's
though.
for turn. You can deal extra damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna go.
It'd be hard for it to do that anyways because
The conditions.
Whoever you attack. Well, no, because it only requires that it be next to a creature that's also hostile to it, right? So, like, if your barbarian is next to the spider and the rogue shot the barbarian, sneak attack.
Yeah. You
But
don't
it says
need
you
advantage on the attack roll if another enemy of the target is within 5 feet of it.
That's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
But yeah, it does say you can deal an extra 1d6 damage. So,
So, in theory, the players will take the least opportune attack.
which for most of them will probably just be, I'll attempt an unarmed strike.
If they can. They'd have to, if they're like a sorting board, they'll have to drop something to do that. But hey, if they want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was a fun little detail.
I like
yeah,
that
that's
a
pretty
lot.
nice.
Like I said, it feels very anime, but that's not a bad thing. I like it a lot. I want to say there's a scene in Demon Slayer that this is making me think of.
Actually, I haven't watched Demon Slayer.
I like the legendary actions for this one. For like lessons of how to give legendary actions to lower CR creatures, because legendary actions definitely help make it like a boss fight and give it the action economy that it needs.
Yeah.
But one, legendary actions like you have here that either affect it by like doing the silk shuffle where you can move it or you, or puppeteering it where it's a variable thing, and two, giving them like restrictions, like it's a thing you can do, but it's a little bit not as good. It doesn't do the poison damage as well, like the bite attack, so it's a little bit more damage. So like I think this is a good lesson on how to do those types of things.
Yeah, I that's kind of what my goal was, is like, because like I said earlier, you can't just give your goblin boss legendary actions to make more attacks. You gotta do the math. You gotta figure out how much damage you're really doing, which is why I was like, luckily with the spider, they have a built-in divisor, barrier between their bite and the poison. So I was like, what if it's just like a quick, little jab, not like a poison? They're doing it too quickly. They can't get the poison out. And I was like, that works pretty well. It'd be harder to justify that with other creatures, but you definitely can. It's just a little bit more imagination for what they can do.
Or just give them a special attack that they do with the legendary action.
That's what I was literally going to say.
Saying, oh, they make a scimitar attack. It's like, oh, they make a different attack that does special damage.
That's literally what I was going to say. You look at the dragons and you see, oh, they can make a tail attack. It's just another one of their attacks. Even though the dragon doesn't make a tail attack normally on their turn unless they use their whole action to do it, which is weird. And you look at that and it's like, okay, so you just give them the same attack. It's like, no. You could do more stuff with it. You could be... Yeah. They could do special things that they can only do as a legendary action and not on their turn. It doesn't have to be straightforward like that.
Well, and also, I mean, this doesn't help with CR calculations, but sometimes legendary actions are not combat oriented. While I was looking looking today at low CR creatures with legendary actions, and one of them, it's like, oh, DC 21 intelligence saving throw, or else it learns why you're here and where you come from. And it's like, oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
That's-
important to the combat, but like, oh man, could that be juicy?
Mhm.
That's much cooler than a legendary reaction like a perception check that the dragons all do.
Ugh.
Just because 5e realized that making perception checks as an action was very cumbersome.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, that intelligence save one that I just said is off of a legendary spider from Mythic Odysseys of Theros.
oh, who's this fuck?
Her name is Arasta.
I think I've seen that stat block before. Well, that's it. That's my spider.
I think it's really cool. I don't like
It's very
spiders
simple.
like in real life, but I think they make cool enemies.
Because you
I
like
like
to
it.
kill them.
I actually don't like to kill them. I can't even get myself that close to them.
I like spiders, and I like this spider. And I like a lot of the stuff we brought today. I think you and Shawn and Adam, you guys both bring the numbers, and so like we trust you on those most of the times.
And you bring the disgusting, wretched shit.
Well, I don't crunch the numbers, so I was scared to like do additions to like legendary actions and stuff like that that did have numbers on them, which is why I messed with the conditions and stuff like that. So, and then Justin has great ideas, but numbers are just a little bit too high.
Yeah, it's good to have a balance.
I'm saying you did what I was scared to do for that reason. I didn't want to go that far over with numbers, and I wanted to mess around with it otherwise. But your monster evoked definitely what you wanted from it. It was just way stronger than you wanted it to be.
Well, and that's the thing. If we didn't put a CR cap on this episode, then it would have just been, oh, yeah, this is CR 9. Change that to a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say doing this, and especially giving it a layer, one problem that I had that was hard to do, and I was going to ask at the beginning, but I decided to wait to see what you guys' CRs were, was that it was hard for me to come up with one that was lower than 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kerola was not supposed to be CR7. I was shooting for like CR5, and I didn't feel like I gave her super powerful stuff. But by the time I'd given her legendary actions, or not even legendary actions, but by the time I'd given her lair actions and interesting attacks and bonus actions, it was like, oh shit, this is like high CR7 already.
Yeah.
It's very easy. And it's also hard to make a boss monster that is lower just because, like, what are you going to make a boss monster for a level 1 party? Whew. That's tough.
Yeah.
It's really easy to kill a level 1 party.
And I think like 4 is definitely a good starting point for like doing that.
Even after we like came to this episode saying like, hey, low level parties are really squishy, you've got to be careful with them, I still am not confident that I could make an interesting boss encounter for level 1 characters. Level 2 I think I could probably do, but level 1, they're so squishy, you can't really do anything to them. And even giving the boss monsters bonus actions is too much action economy. Like,
I think the best play...
Go ahead.
For any DMs out there who need advice on how to make interesting level 1 boss monsters, the secret is don't focus too much on the monster. Focus on the scenario, the environment, stuff like that.
Yes.
Because if you focus on the monster, you're going to get disappointed because if you do too much crazy stuff, you're just going to kill them. It's really easy to kill them. Maybe you can make a chase sequence. You can make like a keep away scenario. You can make like try and do stuff like that for your boss monster, or just take one of the CR monsters from the book and let them swing on it.
Or even waves of weak monsters. Like, you can't really do a lot of weak monsters, but if you send them in waves, just like, oh, here's 2 or 3 goblins at a time until you get tired. Like,
stuff like that. Like maybe like a last hurrah against like the goblins or something, like they're defending their fort and you're just like coming in. Don't overwhelm and don't overpower.
Oh, be so careful about overwhelming them. Level 1 parties. I was DMing for a level 1 party of 3 people, and I gave them 2 skeletons to fight. and that was too much. They couldn't handle it. I had to nerf the skeletons because 2 skeletons was too much for a level 1 party of 3 players. Like,
yeah, I think Shawn's sentiment on this is a really good one. I think this goes for like even
scenario around the boss monster, because then even if the boss monster doesn't have anything special in its stat block, it will still be a special encounter. It's really the level 1 is where you really need to focus on making the encounter cool, not necessarily the monster, but the encounter.
I think this is true for more than even just level 1. I think even like up until level like 5, like hitting level 5, characters start to hit their stride, especially with extra attack and some of the other things that they get.
Level 5 is definitely where things really turn on.
Even then, level 5 still adding that is good. But like those low level ones, I think it's really important to make the scenario really interesting, or give them stakes that aren't them dying because they're lower level. Like in my campaign, one of the things I did when I gave you guys 2 characters that were over a lava pit that you guys had to save, that lowered your guys' action economy by having to deal with those because you cared about these characters, made it so that your lives weren't quite at stake, but people that you cared about lives were at stake. So there was still consequences and things that you cared about in the fight.
Yeah, adding non-combat consequences is important at every level, but it's a great tool at level 1 where combat itself can be a little too deadly very easily.
Yeah. And if you're a new DM, it's great practice for involving the environment in later encounters as well.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity to like get into the rhythm of that.
It's really hard to jump into high-level combat and make it feel fun. If you aren't used to DMing 5e,
at hit points.
Yeah, and you try to jump into running like a level 15 one-shot or something, or hell, even running like level 5. If you are not used to DMing 5e, it's kind of too much. Like there's a lot going on, and trying to make it fun without just being, all right, you hit them, they hit you, you hit them, they hit you. Like a lot of people online complain about levels 1, 2, and even 3 sometimes, saying like, oh, no one should ever play these levels. Like just start your games at level 4. Level 1, you aren't playing the same game as you are at later levels, but the players and the DM are both learning how to play the game. Like,
and that includes if you're experienced as well, because every campaign is different.
Yes,
every character you make is different. When you play a new first level character, even if you've played 5 campaigns to level 20, you might be like, okay, I can just jump to 5. I know what I'm doing. It's not about learning the mechanics of your character. It's about learning what you actually enjoy about the mechanics of your character, and learning about what you actually enjoy about role-playing your character, and actually what you enjoy about the world that you're playing in and the campaign story. Like, it's a very important level, and I think a lot of people overlook it just because it's mechanically simple.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been playing D&D for, like, fucking, like, 15 years at this point, and, like, I still think it's very important to play those low-level sessions. Like, you get a lot out of the character when you have more important decisions to make than what am I doing with my attack this turn? It's like, well, no, I've only really got the one option, but why am I doing that? How am I interacting with the world? Like, I think that those low levels are very important. Even though the players are fragile and the combat can be boring, they're still very important. But that's not an excuse to let the combat be as boring as it can be. Try to spice it up using tools like the environment and extra action economy that is not attacks. Whether it's like additional movement or inflicting a non-vital condition, like try to make interesting things happen even if they aren't making attack rolls and dealing damage. There are other things that monsters can do no matter what Wizards of the Coast tries to tell you.
One of my favorite things is just adding like NPCs that become important to the character that can take away from like they're the ones in the dangerous situation or like they're the ones that are in more danger or something like that.
Or something else interesting you can do at first level or second level or any level really, have your player characters encounter a fight in progress that they get pulled into, not knowing which side they're going to be on. Then you can play around in the combat on the fly with, okay, these enemies will focus on them, these enemies will focus on the other enemies. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and it'll be an interesting combat scenario.
Yeah. And it'd be a good scenario to find out which direction you want to take the story as the DM.
Yeah.
If maybe the players side with one side that you didn't expect. All right, so that is low-level boss monsters that we've brought for you. We've got a spider, an Azer, a Kreen, a Bullywug, and
a troll.
Nice.
What are we doing next week, guys?
Next week, we are
Hats.
revisiting one of our earliest topics, legendary magic items.
We are revisiting a topic for the first time ever.
Woo.
Because as we got deeper and deeper, we got more and more specific, but we're like, let's open up the doors a little bit more than we have been. Maybe give us a little bit more breath to breathe with. Early on, when we were like having these wide things, we'd often come to the podcasts and be like, man, it was so hard to think of an idea. And then when we had like finer, like narrower subjects, it made it easier to know our room. But now it's becoming a little bit more cramped, so we're opening things back up again.
Right. Well, and now I think we are all more experienced homebrewers. And so I think that an open topic like legendary items is going to feel a lot more freeing than it did at first.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not quite as free as our very first episode where the topic was literally just spells.
Yeah. Make a spell.
Make a spell.
A spell or an episode which has been lost to time.
Yes, because we hadn't, we forgot to save the VOD. So
because
it's gone
Twitch
forever.
doesn't have it as a default option to have the VOD be saved on your channel. You have to turn that on specifically. So when I went to go download it, it wasn't there. I was like, God damn it, why? But yeah, that is why.
So we're making a legendary item next week. Maybe
legendary
items.
Item?
Who knows? However you feel about it. Hey, there's no restrictions, Zach. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
That'd be pretty fucking hard.
But with that, we're done for the day. Any last words, guys?
Good shit, man. Everyone.
Good shit.
Oh, they used to eat shit.
I can't wait.
Eat shit, everyone.
My adoring fans, eat shit.
I can't wait to throw this bullywug at you guys.
Today
I'm
is
so excited about this fight.
Today's word of the day is fiendship. It's like friendship, but with fiends. It's the state of someone being your enemy. It's a very old word. Because fiend used to just mean like your foe or your rival. It didn't acquire the meaning of like a demon or something until much later. But fiend used to be paired with friend. So you had fiend and friendship and fiendship. So that's the word of the day, fiendship.
That makes sense. Fiend is just friend without the R. Which is why...
They aren't actually related etymologically, but...
Which is why pirates are all friends.
Yay!
R.
R. Hey, what's a pirate's favorite letter? Do you have a guess?
I used to know this one.
What is it?
It's not R.
You'd think it would be R, but his first love is the sea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Justin says drink more water. All right.
Yeah, drink more water. That's always a good idea. Well, it's almost always a good idea.
Unless you're drowning.
Yeah, unless you're drowning, don't drink more water. All right, well that'll be it for us this week. That, what is it?
Remember?
That which is lost must be found.
Remember, don't forget.
Must be forgotten or something.
Yeah, that which is lost must be found, and that which is found must be remembered. All right. Or,
right.
must not be forgotten. It's something like that. All right.